SRB Media.
Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, Terry, and good evening, all, and welcome to episode 8 of our weekly podcast, The Curran View, with the idol of Hillsborough, Terry Curran. How's things, Tel?
Fine, thank you, especially with Sheffield Wednesday sitting at the top of the championship. It's been a good couple of weeks.
Absolutely flying. We're going to start, as always, with the numbers game, and it is episode 8. So, who was or who is your favourite number 8? And I'm just going to go briefly back to 1984 when Inchy scored the goal that took you guys to Wembley in the FA Cup final against Watford, wearing the number 8 with a headed goal off a header of Derek Mountfield's.
Yeah, was that the league game?
No, that was the FA Cup semi-final at Hillsborough, at Highbury, where one Terry Curran wearing the number 7. It was your third game of the season because you had a bad injury to your thigh that season, like you did at Everton and at Forest, a different injury that cut your career at both clubs short. But you were hovering around the 18-yard box, waiting for that ball to come out. It was the semi-final, yeah.
It was. We played Southampton, and we scored in extra time. I'm sure we scored in extra time. Inchy scored it, like you said.
Yeah, you did.
Obviously, I'd been out for 4 or 5 months. I'd pulled a muscle in my thigh.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it right, and eventually I had to have an operation on it. And I remember I was rushing me back to play in the semi-final. They drained so many games for me to play in. Played in the semi-final. Bit of a scrappy game, but we got the result, obviously. Like you say, I think it came from the right-hand side. Me and Inchy was in there. I think Inchy was the one what the ball landed to, and he put it in back of the net. And it obviously took Everton to the cup final. I played again on the Monday against Norwich, on Monday or a Tuesday. Pulled me hamstring. I played too many games in such a short time, and the rest is history, because obviously Everton went on to win the FA Cup that year, beating Watford in like you said, 1974. So, and then it was a run that Everton went on with and finished up winning the league, FA Cup, Cup Winners' Cup. Tremendous run they had under Howard Kendall, but they had a lot of great players in that team, a lot of great players.
Well, while we're talking there, we'll do the numbers game second. Let's embellish. Let's just briefly indulge in 1984 now and start there. It was a free kick. Reedy had the free kick. The ball come over. As I say, you was loitering around the penalty area for that ball to come out, and then you had the last kick of that game, literally, when the ball went out for a throw deep in Southampton's half.
Wow,
the referee blew the whistle, and blimey, what a pitch invasion. How did you get off the pitch?
Well, it was difficult. It was difficult because obviously there's about 5 or 6 of us in that corner where we scored that goal.
Yeah.
When the referee you usually try and time it if the ball's up at that end and we know he's going to blow to get off as quick as we can, but you couldn't do. You were so wrapped up in the game that the referee had blown his whistle, and everything had just happened, and all the fans flocked onto the pitch. But in those days, that's what used to happen. I mean, it doesn't happen as much now. I mean, occasionally it started to filter onto the pitch again now and again. But in those days, after nearly every game, fans used to come onto the pitch. And in that game, if rightly so, I think before the 90 minutes was up, I mean, Howard was pulling me off. He said to me, you look tired, which I was tired, very, very tired. For some unknown reason, he changed his mind, and I stayed on. And obviously, we beat Southampton 1-0 against my old team, who had got to a final of the League Cup final. We went on to play Forest and got beat in 1979. So it's funny how things happen in against teams who you played against, and that was another incident where I played against one of my old teams, Southampton, and we got a great win. And from then onwards, Everton, never looked back for 2 or 3 years.
And you're right, because like you personally, the two arguably two of the biggest games of your career were both against former teams. How did was that good for you or bad for you, or didn't it make any difference, Terry?
Yeah, but honestly, people always talk about players,
Yeah,
in dressing rooms and things. I was one of them what wouldn't come in well 10 to 3, get changed and then go out. No, nothing ever bothered me. I remember when we were playing Southampton at Forest in the final. McManamy saying to me, "Stand aside of me. I don't want Cluffy getting to you, and trying to put you off." I said, "Don't have to stand aside of me. Don't bother me playing against Nottingham Forest. It's a job. Uh, it's something that takes your mind off it when you get out onto that pitch. You forget all about problems or whatever going great for you or whatever. Once you get onto that pitch, you're thinking about the game." But I remember McManamy saying to me, "Keep it side of me. I don't want Cluffy getting to you and putting you off."
but after the game, Brian did get to you, didn't he? Because he offered you, "Why don't you come back to me and play for Forest?" Didn't he after the game?
But it weren't that game. It was the game up at Everton.
Got
We
ya.
beat them. We beat them 3-1. On my last game of I was on loan at Everton at the time
Right.
when he asked me to come back. Do I fancy going back and playing for Forest? And I said, "No, you're too late for that now." I said, "You've won everything now. You're not going to win anything again for the next few years. It'll take a lot of money to sort that out." Because obviously some of the players were getting old.
Yeah.
Well, getting older anyway. But it was when I played for Everton up at Goodison, we beat them in my last match on my loan period. I think we beat them 3-1.
And obviously you turned down Brian. You actually turned down Brian twice. There's not many players that do. But going back to that playing against your old team, so many players when they play against their former team and teammates tend to score a goal. Is that just the way it goes, or do you raise your game a little bit more when you're playing in those games? Like presumably you're doing the bigger games and you're doing the derby games as well.
Yeah, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak
Yeah, sure.
for me.
Yeah,
And with me, whether I played against my old teams or a team who I wanted to play against, when you want to play against Man United and
yeah,
things like that, I was always excited to be playing those teams.
yeah.
I was always excited and always thinking that we could win, we could beat teams. Whereas some players would look at it, well, we might lose against these, and we might get a point against them. I never thought that way. You're never going to win every match, but I always thought we were going to win to win every match. It never occurred to me to when I was playing against Brian Clough, because he knew what I could do
Yeah.
up prior to my injury. And it was a fallout with Pete Taylor more than anything to do with Nottingham Forest. In fact, Cloughie, I remember Cloughie when I slammed the door on him and the door came off, and he's still laughing his head off behind when the door fell down. And he said, "You don't have to leave." But no, I would never wanted to show anybody else. If I were playing against when I played against Derek Statham at West Brom, who was a good left back, Derek Statham, or I played against Pat Van Now at Birmingham, or Kenny Sampson at Arsenal. These were good players, and you always wanted to play well against them more than the team you were playing against.
Yeah.
It was the player, the player who I admired when I was playing against, because you knew they were good players, and you knew you're going to be in for an hard game in a sense, not a kicking game, but a hard game because they were good. There were three good fullbacks. What could play the game a bit.
Now in that semi-final in '84 against Southampton, you played against, for me, the greatest left fullback that's ever played for my team, Birmingham City, against Mark Dennis. What was it like to play against Mark?
Well, Mark wasn't. To be honest, Mark was another really good player. When
Yeah,
I think about that, that's another one what came up. It was a very very good player, but in those days, and it weren't as bad as to the '60s. How they used to kick people in those days. But I remember playing against Mark at Birmingham City. When he played for Birmingham,
yeah,
they had 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 hard players, and I mean hard players. What didn't think anything about putting him in Rose Ed,
mm,
But technically, he was a good player. But he was a player what didn't think nothing about putting him in the stand, like I said.
Yeah.
He never thought anything about it. He would. I think he would kick his own mother, Mark. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I think that's just how he was when he played. He wanted to win, and a lot of players want to win.
Yeah.
But there's ways about going about a win, and he, hook or by crook, he wanted to win. But he was a good player, very, very good player.
Now in them days, Jim Smith was the manager of Birmingham, and we talked about in the last podcast managers and teams that you didn't play for that perhaps you'd like to play for. Was there any time that Jim Smith would have got into you and says, Terry, I'm doing stuff down at Birmingham. I've got Mark Dennis, I've got Noel Blake, I've got Blakey actually, Ron Saunders brought him in. We've got Joe Gallagher, we've got Colin Todd, we've got Archie Gemmell and Frank. We've got a good team. You and Huddy would have really fitted in well to that Birmingham City team. And you probably are the two missing ingredients that we needed looking back at it.
No, that never came. That never came about. But obviously, I knew Jim really, really well.
Yeah.
And he liked he liked how I played, and I think he's from my way somewhere. I think he's from Sheffield way up this way. Well, he's up north. Anyway, he's a northern guy. And every time I saw him, he always used to give me high praise. I will say that. The closest I ever come to playing for someone in that area was Wolves. I'm trying to think of the manager then. Not Ken, what's his name? Wolves money. I played for Sheffield United, and I remember Sheffield United saying the Wolves have made a bid for you.
Barney. Would it be John Barnwell?
John Barnwell,
yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I nearly signed for him, at Wolves, but Everton were sniffing around me then. I knew Everton was wanting to sign me. And then what happened then? Once the deal had fallen through first time with Everton, I played against Stoke, and it was one of those games when I played Stoke by myself for Sheffield United in the FA Cup, and Arsenal were there, and Man United, and a guy called Norman Wynn, who worked for the Sunday People, phoned me up. He said, "Ron Atkinson wants you to come and play at Man United. Do you fancy it?" And I said, of course I do. But what happened there was that the deal had to be done by a certain Saturday, or else it weren't going to go through. They were going to sign Arthur Graham. But with Arsenal coming in, then the transfer fees started getting thrown about and getting upped, and they'd already got a fee in their head that they weren't going to pay no more than a specific fee. I think it was £100,000 then. But with Arsenal coming in, it made it more difficult, and it made it more difficult for Arsenal. So they finished up signing Arthur Graham, and Arsenal finished up signing Brian Marwood. And then I finished up going back to Everton. But that's the only time I've nearly come to playing for a team in the city of Birmingham itself, Midlands.
And you had a close shave. You almost joined Newcastle United to pair up there with Kevin Keegan, didn't you?
Well, that's a funny story, that Gabby. Gone to the tribunal, and we sat in the tribunal, and Jack. What had happened really was Jack. I wanted £11,000 signing on, in my contract, tax free. And Jack said, "No, we're not playing. We're not giving you tax free." He says, "You earn more than me," as managers would do anyway. They always looked after themselves, and I said to him, "I earn more than you." I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do, Jack," because I've been in his office. John Harris had come for me and asked me to go down to office. So I went into the office, and I'm in there before Jack. And on there is Jack had new windows put in, and had this done, and had that done. And I said to him, I said, "Tell you what, Jack, forget that £11,000. I'll take that what you've just had done to your house. The improvements in your house. What are you looking at, Mike? What you been looking at them? That's what you should have left on your desk then, should you?" So he wouldn't give me it. He wouldn't give me that. He wouldn't pay the tax on the £11,000. It went to a tribunal, and I told him Sheffield United had offered me £50,000, and he said to me, "Yeah, I bet they have." So and it was a fact, because I've still got the contract and everything. And so what I did, went to the tribunal. Jack had fetched all the documentation down that Everton had bid £500,000 for me when I was playing for Sheffield Wednesday. And took it to the tribunal. but because what my wages I were getting at Sheffield Wednesday, that's what the transfer fee went on. So it was £100,000. So I came out of the tribunal, and Jack said, I'll pay the tax on that. I said, too late now, Jack. I said, what do you want me to do? I've just come through all this. Anyway, I drove home that night. I was married to a girl called Kim. I drove home that night. Just as I walk in the door, my father-in-law's on the phone. And he put his hand over the phone. He said, it's Arthur Cox on the phone. So I picked the phone up. It was Arthur Cox. And he said to me, what have they offered you, Sheffield United? He said, the £100,000, we're willing to pay that. He said, what have they offered you? So I told him, I said, £25,000 in my hand, 25,000 in the contract, over a 3-year contract, and £200 a week, So he turned around and he said, I'll treble that if you come and sign for us. And I said to him, I can't now. I've already given Sheffield United my word. He said, well, listen. He said, we're signing Kevin Keegan. I'm going to play you on right, Waddle on left, Keegan and Beasley through middle. I said, it's too late. You look at it, when you think back at it, I must think to myself, I must have been crazy.
Yeah.
But once I gave my word to someone, that would it. I'm not a Sheffield United fan. Why did I do it? I did it to upset Jack more than anything else, because what he were doing to me, at the club. I was wanting us to push on, get some more players in. Jack's so careful with the money, and Jack did a great job for Sheffield Wednesday. I didn't like the way we played the game under Jack, but he did such a great job for Sheffield Wednesday, and he was one of the best people I'd ever met in my life, Jack.
Yeah.
Right down to earth. But it was little things like that, what cost us really at Sheffield Wednesday. 3 players. If we'd have got the 3 players in, would have gone up that year. The following year, I had left to go to Sheffield United. Jack stayed for another season. I think they got the semi-final of the FA Cup. I think they played at Villa Park. Brighton, I'm sure they played Brighton.
Yeah.
Got to the semi-final of the FA Cup. And then Jack left that season. Howard Wilkinson come in, bought 3 players and got promotion. And Sheffield Wednesday were back in the old first division in those days. But that disappointed because I wanted to go up with Sheffield Wednesday. That's the reason why I came out of the first division at Southampton. Not many players would have done that. Not a Chris Waddle, not a David Ayres, not a Trevor Franzen. They didn't know the footballer would have done what I did to come out of first division when I was starting to play well again. After the serious injury I got at Nottingham Forest. So little things like that didn't help. The injuries. Who knows, Forest, they went on to win everything. I got the injury against Burnley. I scored the first goal. We won 5-2. Out for 7 months there. Came back, played a couple of games. Couple of 3 or 4 years down the line, I finished up at Everton. They were at bottom of the league when I first went there. Got some great results. Went back after the loan period. Went back, my first game back against West Brom. Pulled my thigh muscle, out for 5 months. It brought me back for the FA Cup, got me fit for the FA Cup game. And then I got injured. They won the FA Cup, and the rest is history with Everton. They went and won everything. So the 2 teams that had won everything, the league, FA Cups, League Cups, Cup Winners' Cup, European Cup with Forest, 2 European Cups, a League Cup with them. I missed out on all that through injury. But I suppose if I wouldn't have got injured at Forest, who knows what would have happened. I'm not saying I'd have been inside. You just don't know because, ifs, buts and maybes are a big part of footballers' lives.
I don't think fans really understand what goes on with the footballer and what happens during their career. Because again, going back to that Wednesday, you'd actually identified and told Jack the 3 players that's needed, and pretty much Howard went and bought them the season after. So if Jack would have listened to you, then probably Wednesday would have gone up with you, and you would have achieved what you came back to Sheffield Wednesday to do. So again, tinged with a lot of frustration. Now, had you have had an agent in them days, and someone that you could have talked to and talked you round, do you think you would have made different decisions? And do you think agents, because they seem to be, by a lot of people, and I know young Tom's an agent for Jock, we're going to have a chat about Jock, But a lot of people seem to think that agents are public enemy number one. I think agents are an absolute necessity in the game to guide young players and to just talk them through and having a look at the full picture rather than the little bit that they're looking at.
We'll talk about that, but
Yeah.
I'll just go back to Jack. When Jack used to say to me, "Come into office." So after a game, he'd get me in the office, and there'd be other managers there, but you're talking about the teams and players and things, and identifying players, for our team. And you're right. I told him the 3 players to go and sign, and he said to me, "Keep your nose out. I run this club." But he ran the club like he would with his own money. He spent very little of his own money, so that's how he ran the club. And going back to the agents now, would it been any? The agents had just started to not come in like they are now, but there were little people, advisors advising people. And I remember you say, would it make any difference to me? Well, I don't think it made any difference to me, Gavin. That's why I had that little chuckle when you was on about agents. Well, I remember when I went on loan to Howard, when I went on loan up to Everton, and I met Howard at his house, and they were second bottom at league when I went there. And on the garage, they were like a noose with an hangman on, and the death of Kendall, because they really wanted him out.
Yeah, they did.
He'd give £800,000 for Adrian Heath, weren't getting goals. He'd really got a good team there, and it just weren't. For some unknown reason, it just wasn't working for him. Mm-hmm. So I goes on loan, and we turned the club round. We drew against Birmingham, my first game, 0-0. I think there was about 11,500 people there. Then we go and play Ipswich away. We beat them. I remember coming in at half time and Kevin Ratcliffe saying to all the lads, "I'm going to play in the first division, and we're in the old third division. I'm in the old third division with Sheffield United."
Yeah.
And Kevin Ratcliffe saying, "Give Terry the ball. Give Terry the ball. He's ripping these apart." So we beat Ipswich away 2-1. Then we played West Brom up at West Brom. We got a draw there. I'm not quite sure whether we beat Tottenham. I don't know if we beat Tottenham away or we drew. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But we beat Luton at home 5-1. And then my last game was Nottingham Forest. We beat them 3-1. And rightly, what you said earlier on about Clough, who wanted me to go back and play at Forest. Mm-hmm. So anyway, what had happened? I'd done well up there, so Reg wanted more money for me. So the £100,000 what they'd agreed had gone off the table. So finally, I agreed to go to Sheffield United, or the Sheffield United and Everton have agreed the deal's back on again. So I met then Howard up at the Granada Services, up at Birch Services on the M62 there. So I goes in there with a guy called Jerry Webster, and Jerry sat at the side of me, and he's supposed to be doing all the talking for me. But I listened to Howard, and Howard turned around and he said to me, "I'll give you £500 a week and £10,000 signing on." And I said, "Howard, I've just saved you. It's just stopped you from getting sacked." I said, "I want me 25,000 when I've got in my contract, and I want £1,000 a week." "Yeah, you're not getting that, and all this, blah, blah, blah." So I said to Jerry, "Come on, we're going." And Jerry turned around. He said, "No, hang on a bit, Terry. Let's see if we can sort this out." I said, "No, we're off." So I walked out of the room, and I was shouting me back. I just walked out of the room, and Jerry followed me out. Jerry's saying to me, I think he was a bit naughty what he was doing there, because he was trying to say, do you want to play first division football or do you want to play third division football? I said, "Howard, it don't make a difference to me. I'll play for Halifax Town.
Yeah.
All I want to do is play football." And I left. The next day, it were all greedy Curran. Yeah. I was coming to the end of my career. I just saved Howard from getting the sack on that period when I went on loan. And he was a great manager. Just things weren't going for him. Yeah. Maybe I was a cog what turned it round. And then he bought Peter Reid and Andy Gray. And they were a big influence on the team as well as. So no, the agents were just about coming in, or representatives were coming in, not like they are now nowadays. But I would imagine if we had that type of agent with the money, what was going on in football, it would have been a different type of thing. Football was different altogether in those days, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, if we fast forward it now to the modern game, I was listening today that there's the young boy Sterling
Yes.
plays for Manchester City.
Yeah.
He was he couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo the other season. I mean, now everything that he touches goes into the back of the net, and the young fella, it looks as though he's going to get £1 million boot deal. I mean, it's crazy. There's billions of pounds of TV money going into the modern game as well. But on the same, if you flip the coin over, you've still got kids running around with the arses hanging out of the shorts at grassroots level and dog dirt all over pitches, and you've got to move that before the Sunday League games take place. You've got former professional footballers with dementia, and nobody seems to put any money towards that department. It seems a total imbalance and an injustice where football's never had so much money, but it just seems to be going into certain players, certain teams, and the rich seem to be getting richer, and the money isn't circulated.
Well, let's go back to the Sterling bit first.
Yeah.
What was he when he first went to Liverpool? 2021, and Man City 22, 23, 24ish, something like that. And, if you ask any player, you're still learning the game. Even at that age, you're still learning the game. Yet you're ready to play. So now everything's fell into place for him. Obviously, it's at Manchester City, Liverpool. Obviously, they're in a bigger club than Liverpool in England. Yeah, all right, you can argue that Man United are the biggest club in the country, but it will play with good players there going. But not what he got now is a top manager, top players, and they've helped him in his development. But he's playing with great players, so that has helped him as much as anything. But time helps you as players when you're a young player to get that little bit of experience behind you and get the confidence that you feel part of that team. And he's got all that now. Mm-hmm. I'm going back to the other thing about the money in local football. It's been a disgrace since the Premier League started. We give more money to other countries than we do to our own. For a local team to have to pay £1,000. To play on that football pitch, we having the grass cut and everything else what goes with it, paying so much to play on the fields. It's a disgrace. Where does every footballer come from throughout the world? Where do they come from? From the local community. It comes from a local community. Yet we cannot put money into these facilities. Improve the dressing rooms, so they've got hot showers week in and week out, so the grass is cut for them to play on, because these kids are playing in little tournaments, and all the scouts around there in the summer watching these young boys playing, and they can't put the money into any local team or area to help these young kids and football clubs, to survive, because it's the communities, This is where they should be putting money into these areas for these kids, to bring them through what's going to play professional football. Do they want to do it? No. They will never even think about it. The political correctness is how they want to do it, not how it should be done, because nobody talks about it. You brought that up when you made little bits about it. But if the cameras from Sky and the BBC and the ITV went around these football grounds and forced them and showed everyone how some of these clubs are, not them all, because some of them have run great, and have done well, but they've had a lot of work, a lot of work from the local communities to go into that and give the time up, even giving their own money up to help their teams, and embarrass them into doing things for these local teams. It might help. But until that happens, Gabby, it won't. It won't.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to hold my breath, because, as I say, that is exactly where Raheem started his playing career.
Everybody did. Exactly. Every footballer did. Exactly. There's not throughout the world of football. They start in their local school team and the local teams. And that's where every football starts.
Yep, absolutely. Bang on. Magic moments of the weekend. Let's get on to a bit of positive stuff of the weekend.
You're smiling a bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, apparently we've bought Birmingham City have got the ideal footballer that's got Villa in his name, and that hasn't gone down very well. I think they're all buying shirts with Fran on the back rather than Villa Alba.
Yeah.
But he does seem to be a very, very good player. My two boys went down and think that he's the second coming. But again, football supporters are like that. When you buy a player and they play really well is the greatest thing. And we do tend to do that in England. Build everybody up when he has a bad game. Oh, he's rubbish. And they're all football fans are the same. I look at everything. It's moderation. I go, look, he's had a good game. Let's see how it pans out. But Birmingham have had a good start, as have your team, Sheffield Wednesday. Both teams are flying.
Yes, we sit proudly on top of the championship table. Lee Bullen's had two or three good players to the team, and generated some pace into the team. But not only generated pace, they look technically good on the ball. Kadeem, excuse me, looks really good. Looks really good on the ball, and causing all sorts of problems for the opposition. So if you can get players in what's going to run with the ball or run and create space away for other players to go into, it's always going to be a big factor for the team. And he's given that, what is that lift, the need, especially with Bruce leaving. My first choice would have been Arteta. I know I'm expecting big things, trying to get Arteta. Could we afford his wage? Could we afford this? Could we afford that? Because how I looked at that with Arteta, he's got Manchester City, he's got other teams where he could go and get players on loan like Frank Lampard did at Derby. But Lee Bullen, if it wasn't going to get him, I was one. Let's give Bullen a chance, because I don't want to see Orton down there. I don't want to see Allardyce down there. I don't want to see David Moyes down there. I've seen that football for long enough. I've seen it for 40 years. I want to see some exciting football. And let's hope that Lee Bullen can keep winning and he gets the job and he gets Wednesday back in the Premier League.
Here. I think the Premier League need sides like Sheffield Wednesday, like Birmingham. Aston Villa got promoted, of course, last season. Like West Bromwich Albion, like Leeds United. These are big clubs with tremendous history. But I'm going to have my magic moment. I'm going to have Tom Kearney when he got the ball, because Fulham are the team that I've picked to win the championship this year. And they worked the ball out. He's took a touch. He's got out his feet and he's pinged the ball in the top corner with his left foot. I think Tom Kearney is an absolutely fabulous player. And I love number 10s. I love players that can do something a little bit special and win games almost single-handedly at times.
Well, I mean, I will back you with that, because obviously the goal he scored was a tremendous goal, and obviously the first game of the season they get beat at Barnsley, so to get on the winning track as quick as possible was a great achievement for Birmingham, because people will soon get on your back, like you say. 1 minute with the great, next minute the poor, and it was a great goal. But for me, the Richards run, creating the goal for the boy at Wednesday to knock in, was my moment again. I love to see people run with the ball. I love to see people take people away. I love to see people run off the ball. That's not athletes. It's intelligent footballers running off the ball and creating space, having pace in your team. I'm not saying everybody has to be fast, but certain areas, I think it's a big plus if you've got it. You've got pace in your team, So little things like that are great in football. But like you, Kearney's was the one what really lit the goals up in that championship on Saturday.
Who was the greatest runner off the ball that you've seen? I mean, one that springs to my mind, he was never graced with a massive amount of pace, but Terry Sheringham was a real thinker's football player. His movement off the ball and creating space for forwards playing alongside him, I thought he was absolutely magnificent at doing that.
It was, but Teddy Sheringham never went beyond, did he? He would come off and find
Yeah,
areas, little sports goals
yeah,
as good as, like the Iniestas and Xavis. They're the ones. But I'm talking about sometimes players what can make runs off the ball. Your Brian Robsons would make a run off the ball and create space for other people.
yeah,
I look for intelligent players what could do both of those type of things. Can either good with the ball, yet find space either coming off the striker or coming off the strikers or other midfield players or going beyond the striker. And it's that type of thing. It opens it all up. Manchester City don't keep the ball all the time,
yeah.
Into people's feet. They will play little balls in behind, but you'll see Sterling make a run. You'll see that was not David Silva, the other one, Portuguese one at Manchester City.
Yeah.
So they call him Silva, but I'm trying to think his first name. Bernardo Silva. Yeah. He's another one what will make little runs, even with the ball or without the ball. So, all types of players what can do that. I like to see that. You need the right balance in the team, Paul, and you need a right balance for the philosophy of that team. It's no good bringing players in if the manager wants to play a long ball type of game. It's no good bringing people in what's going to play little 1-2s in and around because it doesn't work for them because the manager panics. They want the ball there, and you need that balance when you've got good players in your team to have someone what will do that little bit of donkey work for one or two of the other players.
We've got to talk about Jock because we're on Jock Watch as well. Jock Curran being your son, currently on loan at Lincoln United from his club Grimsby Town, who got a decent draw against Bradford this weekend. He scored 2 goals, didn't he? He's flying at the moment, young Jock.
Yeah, well, Grimsby obviously got the result up at Morecambe, the first win of the season, and then that was a good draw against Bradford. Obviously, you've got to try and win your own games.
Yep.
So 4 points out of 6 is not bad. Obviously, we would hope to get 6 out of 6, but they asked Jock, they want him to get game time because obviously at Grimsby they're under 23s, only play about 15 games a season.
Yeah.
In my opinion, with him, Gabby, he still needs another 6 months on his back. Do I think? I mean, I thought I would done in pre-season that he might be on the bench and they might fetch him on, but obviously they lack that little bit of experience, and some managers may be frightened of having kids on the bench. But having said that, we've got a young boy, Pollock, what's doing well for the club on the bench. So they asked him to go on loan. So I spoke to the people at Lincoln, Nathan, whatever his second name is, I quite forget now, but he's the assistant manager down there. Grimsby played Jock as an holding midfield player.
Yeah.
Now, he can do that and he could play at the back because he's composed on the ball. Mm-hmm. He's got good feet. But he hasn't fully developed yet. It's going to be another 6 months for me personally.
Yeah.
But I said to the guy, Grimsby play him, and I'm not telling you, how to pick your team or how to play your team. I said, but for me, he's a better player going forward. He will create your goals and he will score goals. The drew with Retford in the midweek, and he made one of the goals. And then on Saturday, he got the both goals. And the 2 goals, but one of them was the winner. And I said to him, he's better going forward, But at Grimsby they play him as an holding midfielder. That's where they see him, his best position. But my opinion of him, and I am give my honest opinion of him, because if he wasn't any good, I won't be taking him up and down the motorway, Paul. I promise you that. I tell my eldest son, he were no good at football. I won't beat him behind the bush with it because he was 12 years old. I said, you're not good enough, and that's it. Whereas Jock's got a good chance. He's got a football brain. He sees the pass, brave. He's 6 foot to him, compared to me at 5'10.5". But once that body develops, I think he's going to have a big chance. So they played him as a forward, attacking midfield player. And he's only 2 games, so he's doing well for them. And their first league game starts on Saturday. But the Grimsby, they've got 1 or 2 good little lads coming through there. Just keep my fingers crossed for them, and that I hope that they take it on to the next level.
While we're talking about the game, the modern game, we've left the past in the past at the moment. VAR something that you guys didn't have back in your days, but we've got it today. Some of the goals being disallowed, absolutely ridiculous. Certainly the goal that Wolverhampton Wanderers scored at Leicester seemed pathetic when it was adjudged that Bowley had handballed it and Dendonk had put it in the onion bag.
Yeah.
Wolves fans are celebrating, they're thinking that they won the game, then they don't, the goal's disallowed, and then the Leicester fans are all celebrating. It just seems absolutely bizarre, doesn't it?
Well, I only thought that was. I always thought that I was one for it coming in for when these balls crossed the line.
Yep.
You know, like Lampard did in the World Cup. I remember Bolton getting relegated because the goal weren't in. Can you remember? Even when I was playing, I can remember there was a goal at Coventry. It hit side netting. It hit side netting, and they gave a goal. Yeah. And that's what I thought. That's why I thought they were going to bring it in for. Yeah. But they brought it in for everything now. And now it's becoming a joke with it all, because you're seeing goals, the Manchester City goal on Saturday against West Ham.
Yeah.
What a great, it's a fraction offside. All right, offside's offside, because you'll get the politically correct people say, well, it's offside, so give it offside. Well, if it's handball, it's handball. Yeah. Give every ball in the box an handball, So it's disappointing me that they haven't they've fetched everything into it, and I don't like that. I thought that it was only going to come in for goals what had gone over the goal line, and that's what it was talked about in the first incident of it all. But no, what have they done? It's every mortal thing now. I don't like it in a sense that you're stopping and starting. It's bad enough when a referee keeps stopping and starting a game without the VAR. So it's not for me. It's not for me.
No, I remember having a chat with Matt Letizia probably about 12 months ago, and Matt was saying if people think that it's going to solve all the problems in football, please think again, because it's not. It's going to create more problems than it actually solves. And I just think that with this VAR and with handball and with some of the decisions, I think that they need a professional footballer in there and saying to the referees, look, you've not played the game, but you know the rules. But let's have a look at this, because that definitely isn't a penalty. I can tell the way the players played that, and football players know, and referees sometimes that haven't played the game don't really know what's going on, do they?
Well, I get that. I really, really get it. I'm not against anybody. Listen, Paul, I'm sure if you was on that panel watching when a goal has been given or not given, you wouldn't take as long as what these are taking. I don't know why they're taking that long, because we're watching it live on television and you see it's offside.
Yeah.
Right? Now, surely they've got every angle there is. They must be looking at 20 different angles.
Yeah.
Probably on the second angle, they should be able to see, say, well, that's offside. That's a goal. That's a penalty. And it's taking, 2 minutes, a minute and a half. It's crazy. It's completely crazy. Surely, whoever's looking at these, the technology of it and seeing whether it's a goal or whether it's not a goal or whether it's a foul or whether it's not a foul, surely they've got that many angles of it. You don't need to see all 20 of it. And I'm sure that's what they're doing, looking at all 20. It's a sensible person. I know you. I don't know you well. I've only known you through us speaking on this podcast. But I know you would pick up straight away. So, and it's done within 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think it's that what's causing us a problem as well as anything else. Other things what's in with it. Why it takes so long, I do not know. But like I said, I only thought it was coming in for goals what had been scored and not they weren't quite sure about. But everything's come in now. It's gone too far for me. I'm not against it, but I'm against the other things what they brought in with it, and that's what's letting everything down with it for me.
Yeah, and I think it should be brought in to assist the referees, but it seems as though they're refereeing the game and the referee's there to assist VAR on them big decisions. And I think it's, again, putting the cart before the horse in terms of football.
I mean, we've got to let referees make the decisions. But then all of us, and that includes me, all of us will look at the decision. You think, how's he not seen that?
Yep.
And then sometimes you're thinking, has he done that on purpose? Does he not like Birmingham City? Does he not like Sheffield? We all say things like that, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. I think the VAR I thought it was going to be a good thing for if balls had gone over the line as a goal. And that's what I thought it was going to be brought in for, and it's been brought in for everything else what's in the game. So whether it's gonna work out, only time will tell with it, Paul. We have to give it time now. It's in, so we have to give it time, and let's see if they can get it right.
Clear and obvious errors, and that's what I thought it was for. And
Yes.
I think if it was brought in for clear and obvious errors, like a goal's been scored, the linesman's got his flag up, let's have a look at it. No, the lad was onside, it's a goal. That's where I thought it was going to be given and brought in for, and not everything else. Well, we've started our predictions panel because we go 6 every week. The 2 teams that we've both predicted, you've predicted Leeds United, and so has Young Jock to win the Championship, and I've gone with Fulham. Your team, Sheffield Wednesday, my team, Birmingham City. Aston Villa, and one of your other former teams, Everton. So we're going with M6 every week. First week, we went 3-3. We drew 3-3. You got 3 and I got 3. It hinged on the Villa game. Tottenham beating Villa, and that brought you back to 3-3. So the 6 are going to be up again this week.
Hang on a bit. You had Birmingham to draw. I had Birmingham to win. And I'll tell you what, they were a bit unlucky. They were a bit unlucky not to win. But obviously, you're right. It did hinge on the Tottenham game in the end.
Yeah. And again, the player really that brought home the bacon for me for Tottenham was Eriksen.
Yes, Sons brought him on.
Yeah, you look how he changed the game. You think, why didn't you start with him? And you look in the stand and you see Vertonghen with sunglasses on, and you think, hey up, what's gone on there? Because he's one of your best defenders. Yeah. There's a lot of things that goes on in football, within management and players and training grounds and transfers, etc.
Yeah, well, you see, I thought Aston Villa played really, really well.
Yeah.
It only did death, and like you said, when Eriksen came on. But players' contracts are coming to the end of the tether. Yeah. I think Eriksen's got a year left to go, and I think the other boys only got a year to go. Mm-hmm. So they look at it, we're not going to play him. Yeah. Well, why keep him? They might as well let him go for what they thought is a reasonable amount of money, than keeping them and having them as bit part players. Because does it work? I'm not sure, but I mean, the sensible, when you get to that level, really, Tottenham's and your Arsenal's and your Man United's and your Liverpool's, it's big money, so they all wanted to win trophies and do the right things. But you don't know if they're being tapped up with other clubs, and that's the other problem. Yep. That's the other side of it. The fans know it goes off, but they're still only guessing on it. Well, I'll tell you, it definitely goes off. Even in today's modern day football, clubs will phone up the agent, or the agent will phone up a club and say, look, I think my player will go well in it with your team. So all that happens in the game. It's getting the players beginning of the season in who you want, and the ones out who you want out. And if you don't get that, sometimes it can cause you a problem.
Now, as soon as the final whistle went, you know what my Birmingham City pals are like, and some with my family. Jack Grealish is being found out. I thought, blimey, he's only played 90 minutes. You can't say anything like give a ball away and like he's finished at Premier League level. Football fans just are so ridiculous and so fickle at times.
Listen, don't think some of the managers, because as soon as I saw it, the first thing I felt for him. The first thing I said to myself, Maverick's coming up. That's why we don't play him. That kid is so composed on the ball. Yeah. It's unreal. Now, I'm not saying he's a Messi, but you look at him when he's in his position. You tell me a better player what doesn't panic on the ball. Tell me one better player.
I don't think there is. I'm a massive.
I'm not saying he's the best. I'm not saying he's the best player in the world. I think he's a young lad. What's going to be a very, 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 very top player, and I mean a top player. But you look at him; he is so composed on the ball.
Yep,
brilliant. And I felt for him, and I felt for Villa because they didn't deserve to lose it. The score. I mean, the second one's a bit of a goal because it's bobbled in the box and Kane's stuck it away. But yes, Jack's made a mistake on the other one, and I felt for him. But the first thing I'd have said to him as a manager, don't worry about that, learn from it. That's what I would have said to him, because you're going to be in my team all the time, because you're the one what's going to create chances. You are the one what's going to cause problems for the opposition, right? but learn from the mistake. That's what I would have said to him. But I'm like you. As soon as it happened, I thought, here we go again. Here's Maverick coming out, and that's why we don't pick these type of players.
I do. I find it absolutely crazy because that boy will take the ball in any area of the football pitch and he'll tick it side on, he'll use it. I mean, he is, for me, a top central midfield player. And if I was the manager of England, Jack Grealish would be in my next squad. I believe he's that good.
Gabby, nearly every goal is a mistake.
Exactly.
80% of them are mistakes. And any team, when you look at them, you'll see somebody's made a mistake in that thing. And then you'll have the other 20% where somebody's hit an absolutely screamer, a free kick, and a team has passed the ball by 10, 12, 14, 15 passes and scored. Yeah. But 80% of goals are made by mistakes by all different types of players. Centre halves, a goalkeeper, left back, right back, centre forward, whoever it is. But you get a player like Jack Grealish, who is a fantastic footballer. When he do it, that's why we don't play him. He's a maverick. We don't, he's going to take that risk when he shouldn't be taking that risk. You don't get anything by not taking a risk.
Hudson says exactly the same, and I'm with you and Alan Hudson. Finally, my team, Birmingham City, are away at Forest, one of your former clubs, this week, and your boys are away at Millwall. Now, a friend of mine, a Facebook friend, a massive Sheffield Wednesday fan, Neil Atkinson, I said it's a difficult place to go, and he said, who for, the fans or the team? And I did say both. It's a horrible place to go, is the new Den. The old Den was even worse. What's your memories of that old Den and playing against Millwall?
What's my old memories? Yeah. It's coming out, when you come out of the tunnel, right, there's a wire mesh fencing around all the players, and fans spitting at you. Yeah. Right, and I'm not about spitting. I'm not about doing a proper gobbing up and that type of spit. Yeah, we're gonna break your effing legs. We're gonna blow your kids, not blow your kids up. We're gonna kill your kids. All that. It was intimidating plays. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes we take it a bit too far, because when I say take it too far, they're only trying to put you off, aren't they? Yes. Because as a player, you're going to be a danger to, and that's what we thought. It was a bit of banter. I'm not saying it were. I mean, some players will be petrified of it. Yeah. Some players will be petrified of it. But I looked at it. The football fans wanting their team to do well. But afterwards, you go in the bar afterwards and you see some of those fans in there, and you'd have a drink with them, and they said to you, what a player you are. But it is intimidating for some players. I will say that. Or it was the old. Then. Yeah.
Any favourite, just as we finish off, any favourite ground that you loved to play?
Sheffield Wednesday. Loved it, honestly.
Apart from your spiritual home.
Well, obviously Old Trafford. Yeah. Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa. I always like Villa. I like Wolves. That was a nice pitch to play on. And Ipswich was a lovely pitch. Yeah. But my favourite was, obviously, I always wanted to play at Sheffield Wednesday. Yes. And obviously, by playing for them, I played on a regular basis down there. But Man United, the big clubs you want to play, your Newcastles, your Liverpools, full houses. You want to play at all them type of stadiums. Yeah.
Well, time's run out. We've done over 45 minutes, so we've finished the first half. We've been in injury time for about 10 minutes as well. So we've had a great little chat on our number 8 podcast, episode 8. Who was your favourite number 8, just before we go? Because we did start with that and we didn't get an answer from you.
My favourite number 8. But you see, he only played 8 and 10, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And Borley played 8. So I'm gonna go with Borley, because obviously Uddy played 8 and 10. So I'm gonna go with Alan Borley, especially if they won the World Cup. So he would be my favourite number 8.
Top man, till next time, let's hope on Saturday we're still singing the blues.
Okay, both of us, because we're both playing blues, so I hope that we are singing the blues.
And we've got our first game at Hillsborough on the 27th of November. That's 4 days after my 55th birthday as well. So. Well,
if you've got a chance of getting up, then we can meet up, and we might have a little, I'll buy you a little birthday drink for your birthday, if that's your 55th birthday.
Cheers, Tel.
After. Okay, Paul.
Till next
See you
time.
later.
See you later,
Bye-bye.
pal. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
SRP Media.